Willkommen zurück bei The Remaining Things of Edith Finch. Nee. What Remains of Edith Finch. Okay, wollen wir uns mal noch drüber fahren lassen.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made. Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe two, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
Here died one.
I don't know if I should even be writing this.
Was machen die Stühle auf den Bäumen? Just asking, you know. Das ist schon ein bisschen...
Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family.
Das hat eine Solarlampe.
And the history you're a part of.
Da hinten ist so, als wäre da ein Anleger oder sowas.
Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now.
Ich fühle mich doch nicht lost, alles gut.
I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
Abgesehen davon, dass mir alles ein bisschen zu dunkel ist. Gefühlt.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible.
Sam? Ist irgendwie ein Grab für dich und ich kann da deine Geschichte hören?
I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it.
Warum darf ich die
What kind
Lampe?
of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
Die Finchs?
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Das ist wirklich ein bisschen gruselig. Aber schön finde ich die Namen. Lurpy, Zerpy, Furpy, Chirpy, Burpy, Derpy und Derpy Junior. Bailey. Shadow Whatever. Bob. Schatzi.
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
Barbara Finch. Walter Finch. Edith Finch. Sven Finch. Calvin Finch. Molly Finch. Das sind doch alle die, die ich bis jetzt habe, oder? Habe ich von Sven Finch? Hier gibt es keinen Sven. Ach, da unten. Da unten ist Sven. Sven ist irgendwie besonders. Weil Sven ist der Mann von Eddie. Und Ingeborg kennen wir auch noch nicht. Okay.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away.
Geht's hier lang? Geht's auch lang. Oh Gott, hier geht's überall lang. Gucken wir mal, was wir hier finden.
She could see it poking out of the water at low tide. Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
Das ist also das alte Haus.
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
Hier ist Gus. Gregory. Von denen haben wir tatsächlich noch nicht viel gehört, von Gus und Gregory.
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself.
Ach, hier oben war doch auch... Aber die Lampe kann ich nicht nehmen, ne? Ja, als ich eine Katze war, war
Looking
ich
back
noch...
on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
Oh, ich bin also tatsächlich schwanger. Ich dachte, die ist fett. Wenn ich das gerade richtig verstanden habe. Also sie ist jetzt in der 22. Woche schwanger. Wenn ich das jetzt richtig verstanden habe.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common.
Was natürlich mit 17 recht witzig ist. Also beziehungsweise interessant.
They were both pretty intense.
Vielleicht habe ich das aber auch gerade irgendwie falsch verstanden, wer weiß. Hä? 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 Okay, also doch. Charles ist der eben gestorben ist. Calvin, Entschuldigung. Calvin. Und Sam ist ein bisschen älter geworden. Das ist kind of creepy.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Hmm? Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
What?
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
Aw. You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
Irgendwas Spezielles fotografieren.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
Hold still while I take.
Hey!
That's a keeper.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Don. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Don, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Don, don't you think you could find something more interesting to photograph? Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip. Your grandpa Sven taught us how to fish, how to build a fire. We found an old logging trail. There were deer everywhere. I bet if I could remember where that trail was, we'd spot a buck for you in no time.
Ich habe gerade ehrlich gesagt keine Ahnung, was ich wirklich hier
Give me a
fotografieren
minute
soll.
to check the map.
Dad!
Good eyes, Don.
Ich glaube, ich habe ihn.
Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
But where is he? Ich rede, also der Hirsch. Ach so. Ach, meint sie.
Dad, I...
Just breathe. Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Don, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong. Great shot, Don! I'm proud of you, Don. Always remember that, okay?
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally
so-
normal, Don. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about...
Dad!
Oh goddamn. What a way to die. What a way
Of
to
all
die.
these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
What a way to die.
Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
Nope, nope, I don't want to. Nope. Ich bin gerade erst hier in den Raum reingegangen. Bestimmt noch mehr.
Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
K? What does K mean? Airline ticket. Also teilweise haben die schon echt tragische Todesfälle in der Familie.
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Gregory! Von dir haben wir noch nicht so wirklich viel gehört. Oh, jetzt sehe ich auch warum. That's sad.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it.
Bitte ertrinken in der
I think he saw
Badewanne.
things the rest of us don't.
Aber es ist schon klar, dass ich irgendwie gegebenenfalls für den Tod eines kleinen Kindes verantwortlich bin. Ach, ich bin der Frosch.
Back hand over, Gregory. It's time to... Hold on, sweetie. Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw.
Was ist hier für ein
What his
Minispiel?
world was like. He reminded me so much of Calvin,
Trophäe erhalten, Gregory.
lost in his imagination. Whatever it was, he saw.
Ich will den scheiß Wal haben. Was machen die Enten hier? Oh, die Enten können mich höher kicken. Gib mir den Wal.
Sure made him happy.
Geil. Da, 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 da. Oh, noch höher. Okay. We can do it. We can do it. We are a frog. We can... Oh nein, falsch rum. Komm schon. I could play this game for hours.
I know how silly it sounds.
Ja. Und in Wirklichkeit bringe ich den Jungen gerade um, weißt du? Das ist ein bisschen tragisch, aber egal.
But I worried about a baby.
Da, da, da,
Too
da.
happy. But I could feel him slipping away.
Wir werden irgendwie immer mehr.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could.
No.
Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
I wish he could have told us
No.
about the world he saw.
No. Mach es wieder aus.
There's so much I don't understand about Gregory. About everything. But I know what happened wasn't your fault. I'm sure he's happy. And he'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
Gus. Du bist auch gerade mal
A
13
poem
geworden.
for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom, were the words that I
now pronounce you husband and wife. To make him cry.
Okay.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined and as a sign held up his middle finger.
Okay.
The wind picked up and geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
Sag mir nicht, der Drache wird vom Blitz getroffen und britzelt mich. Oh.
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder." I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
Okay. Gus ist im Sturm gestorben.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
Whew. Duties. Sweep, trash. Raise flag, breakfast, quiet time. Greg be a baby. Gus, mop my yard. Oh, ich kann nicht hochklettern. Sicher? Ah!
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get. Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
Dawn.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Fly to India.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later.
Louis. Okay. Unterhof.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back.
Louis.
And to
Milton.
see kids in the house again. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
Good
But
job.
it didn't last. The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
Milton.
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
Come on, Milton, let me in.
I think Edie was happy to finally have another painter in the family.
Ich finde das Bild sogar echt schön. Wie alt soll er gewesen sein? Ah, hier für den Frosch noch nicht. Milton.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
Ihr
I was
Bruder.
4 when Milton disappeared.
Er verschwand aber auch nur. Er ist nicht...
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Are you serious? Oh, es geht ja noch weiter hoch. Interessant. So viele fehlen nicht mehr.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
Ich kann da links lang, ich kann hier hoch. Und vergesst das wieder mit dem hier hoch. Was macht ein Boot hier oben im Haus? Just asking. Wird gespeichert.
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Ein Rätsel.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander.
Okay. Ah! Oh!
I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery.
Boah, ist das schwer, sich zu konzentrieren, beides
I
gleichzeitig zu
spoke with
machen.
his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis.
Tut mir sehr leid, dass ich
So I let him go on.
schweige, aber ich meine, das Spiel macht ja schon alles von sich selbst.
I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as ever.
Ja, sicher.
Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. Held an election for mayor. And he won.
Kommt das Super Mario?
They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
Noch mehr Fische.
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville.
Ich kann mich nicht auf beide
St.
gleichzeitig.
Louis.
Das ist
He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis, until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on.
wechselt einfach rein.
In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a
Danke, ich gehe dann doch zu dem Spiel.
handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for
What?
sinister serpents. He followed the sound of her
Houston, we have a problem.
silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound.
Oh Gott, das geht noch weiter.
He knew the world was all in his imagination.
Yo! Treibt man nicht mit den Fischis hier.
But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
Okay,
He began.
that's not good.
I think it pained him to remember Louis, the cannery worker.
Los.
He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions.
Okay. Schade, der hat zu viel noch. Stimmt jetzt aber nicht.
Including the wise Calico who insisted on inviting him.
Mensch, das ist eine winkende Katze. Ich werde noch ein bisschen lauter.
His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Der hat sich also beim Lachsköpfen selbst geköpft. Oder beim Forellenköpfen. Beim Fischkopfköpfen. Auch eine schöne
My brother
Geschichte.
was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
Und damit speichern wir hier hoffentlich. Ja. Und wir machen hier einen Cut. Und bis zum nächsten Part. Bestimmte Videos. Euer Hedi.